The parents of Libby Squire have described their missing daughter as kind, thoughtful and loved by so many people. The 21-year-old from High Wycombe has now been missing for 4 days after a night out with friends where she's studying in Hull. Today, her father said they just wanted her to come home and asked for anyone who knew anything to tell the police. Our correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
For 4 days, the hunt for Libby Squire has drawn a blank. Today, police turned their search to rivers and drainage channels which were iced over at the weekend. Libby's disappearance is a complete mystery, but her parents are not giving up hope, and today her mum made this appeal in a police video.
Libby, my darling pie, we just want to know that you're safe. Please get in touch with us any way you can. The whole family is missing you, especially me and your dad, your sisters and your brother. I miss you so much. It's breaking my heart not knowing where you are. I love you more.
Libby and her family are from High Wycombe. She's a student at Hull University and hasn't been seen since a night out in the city on Thursday. At 11 o'clock, she got into a taxi outside a club to head back to where she was living. Less than an hour later, a driver saw her on a bench and got out of his car to ask if she was okay. She said she was. Libby's friends say it's her failure to phone anyone which is so worrying.
Well, I know there have been nights where she's lost her phone or not gotten back to where she needed to go, and she's always found somebody's phone to let somebody know that she's okay. Like, it's not like her to leave people worrying.
At the weekend, students from Libby's university joined the search for her. Local people were asked to check their garden sheds in case she was sheltering from the cold.
Libby is our kind, thoughtful, beautiful girl who is loved by so many people. As you can appreciate, this is a very difficult time for us both. We would like to thank everyone for their help and support so far. Your messages and kind words are a great source of strength to us both.
The police say they now believe Libby did make it home on Thursday night but didn't go in. Her mobile phone was in the house.
A heartbreaking wait for that family. What more are police saying about their investigation into Libby's disappearance?
Well, in the last couple of hours, a chief superintendent from Humberside Police read out a statement, but he wouldn't answer questions, so it's quite hard to work out exactly what the police think has happened to her. They say they've looked at hours of CCTV, checked buildings and properties and land. They've talked to potential witnesses. They've checked Libby's phone, but nothing, it seems, has emerged to give them a good lead. They say they do have a clearer timeline of her last movements, and just because they don't know what's happened to her doesn't mean she has come to harm. When the chief superintendent was asked if the police think she's been abducted, he didn't respond.
Simon Harris, thank you.
We got to see exactly what the new so-called super station at Old Oak Common will look like today. More than 250,000 train passengers are expected to use it every day when it's finished. It will be the main interchange for both HS2 and Crossrail. But, as our political correspondent Simon Harris reports, not everyone is looking forward to seeing it open.
Old Oak Common has always had an image problem. Its name seems to suggest trees and grass. The reality couldn't be more different. For more than 100 years, Old Oak Common was a grubby railway yard, but now it's to get the mother of all makeovers. In 2026, Old Oak Common will be London's new mega station, a huge and busy interchange for passengers to switch trains between Crossrail and HS2.
It'll be 900 metres long underground, it's like 3 shards laid end on end, so it's of a scale that's unprecedented for the UK, and it'll be one of the biggest subsurface stations in the world.
Work to prepare the West London site is already underway. Old Oak Common is part of Phase 1 of HS2, a high-speed line from Euston to Birmingham with a price tag of £27 billion. Although Grand Railway schemes have an unfortunate habit of busting their budgets. This project isn't just about building a new railway and a new station. Old Oak Common is set to become London's newest suburb, with more than 25,000 homes. That hasn't pleased everyone. These are the neighbours, and for the next 10 years, people living in Wells House Road will be living in the middle of a building site.
Started about 8-9 years ago.
It's made Amanda Souter a fierce critic and determined opponent of the new railway.
At some point, they're actually going to close the road going down the hill for a year, which will cut everybody off from schools and hospitals. It'll cut people off from the local shops. And also just the fact of having to live through this level of noise and disruption and the air pollution for that length of time is really taking its toll on the community.
Similar concerns are shared by people living next to Euston, another giant construction site. Some critics have floated the idea of terminating the line at Old Oak instead as a way of saving money. Other opponents say the best way to cut costs is to scrap HS2 altogether. How confident are you that HS2 will happen?
Well, I think if we look around what's actually happening on site, and this is being replicated up and down the HS2 route at all the main station nodes, looks to me as if it's happening.
Passengers should be changing trains at Old Oak Common 7 years from now. But next to the site is a reminder that railway projects don't always go to plan. Rows of dormant Crossrail trains waiting for the Elizabeth line to open who knows when. Simon Harris, ITV News, Old Oak Common.
To tonight's late debate now, and the issue of council funding has become quite a contentious one over the last few years, with many complaining cuts by the government have forced them to cut vital services. Well, tonight, our political correspondent Simon Harris will be debating this with three people who know just how tight council budgets can be. And he's over in our studio in Westminster for us. Simon.
Charlene, on the late debate this evening, local councils get more money, but is it enough? The London boroughs claim they're facing a £500 million black hole. So, more cuts on the way? I've been talking to three council leaders.
We're really down to the bone now. If, as was mentioned, you've just heard, over £500 million worth of savings, and that isn't a one-off. That means that every year we have to spend that much less, and we've got more and more people moving into our boroughs with higher needs.
Also, how the internet is giving councils a new housing headache. There's a block of flats in London where on any one night it's said 100 homes are being rented out through short-term letting apps. That's the late debate here on ITV at 11:15. Charlene.
Brilliant. Thanks, Simon. We surely will be tuning in.